Alright guys, we got the Epiphone Les Paul here that was signed by Halestorm, and I used the airbrush the other day to coat this thing and just get an even layer of black on it after filling in as best as I could with spot filling with lacquer, and everything holds up really nice and well. And as you can see, I'm putting a decent amount of pressure on that. So now I've got some of this vinyl sealer, and we're going to go ahead and just give it a little spray. And we'll probably do 2 coats of that vinyl sealer, give it a little quick little dry sand with like 1000 or 1500 grit, and then throw a little bit of clear lacquer over that. All right, a couple coats of lacquer on here, and yeah, like I said, you know, you're always going to be able to see this break, but it's nice and smooth now. It feels good on the hands, doesn't have anywhere that catches your hands, and so let that dry and for a while, and then a little polish, and it should be good. All right, guys, so we got the Epiphone here that had the broken headstock, and it's all sprayed with clear now, so it's time to give this, I of course have a tape line right here from where I taped it off, so it's time to give it a quick sand, and then we'll polish it up, and this thing should be ready to string back up and go back to the customer. All right, sanded with 1000 grit. Now I'm going to go up to 1200, and then probably 1500, and then we'll do some polishing. All right, last thing I'm going to do is use some of this 3M Trizact 3000 grit and go over it, and that'll give it a get rid of all the sanding scratches if there are any, and give it a nice smooth finish, and it'll be ready to polish. Okay, 3000 grit 3M Trizact wet sanded, and you can see it puts a nice satiny sheen. When guys want me to make their necks satiny and to smooth them out, this is usually what I use, is the 3000 grit Trizact. And anyway, so now it's time to polish it up, and I'm just going to use some of this Meguiar's Ultra Cut compound. It works really good, and you've probably seen me use that in other videos on like vintage guitars to clean up the lacquer and make them shine again. So anyway, that's what we're doing. All right, so looking pretty shiny. Probably do one more round of the of a finer cut buffing compound, and then I will finish it off with this Paul Reed Smith guitar polish. Works pretty darn well. What I'm using here for this round is this Meguiar's Ultra Finishing Polish, and it works pretty good after using the Ultra Cut compound, which is a very fine compound. And I do all this with a rag by hand. Could do it with a buffer, but then I'd have to take like the tuners and stuff off like that, and that would be work that you don't need to do. It takes a little elbow grease, but you can get it done if you do it by hand. All right, Ultra Finishing polish is done, and looks pretty darn good. Now on to the Paul Reed Smith polish, and again, do it by hand. I find I get the best results that way. All right. It's nice and shiny. Final thing I'll do after I get strings back on it is take some of my semi-chrome polish and just kind of polish up the tuners and stuff like that, because this is just going to be a wall hanger for them. You'll never even see where this thing has been broken. So clean up the rest of the guitar and get strings on it, and it'll be ready to go. Last thing I'm going to do before I throw strings on this thing is polish the frets up so they look nice and shiny when this thing's hanging on his wall, and then I'll get the strings on there, get her tuned up, and she should be ready to go. All right, frets all nice and shiny, fretboard oiled, and it's ready to put strings on. All right, guys, back of the headstock and the whole neck is all nice and shiny, all cleaned up. Guitar's all strung up, set up, cleaned up. Still got to stretch the strings a little bit. But we've got a playable guitar, and this thing has came a long way since it came in here, and you know, it'll never be perfect, but it'll be a great wall hanger, and it's got a good story. And hey, it's signed by Halestorm, which is awesome because Halestorm's awesome. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I'm Thad with Shoemaker Guitar Works. You guys have a great day. And don't forget to hit that like and subscribe.